It's not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
What's your favorite scary movie?
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Slashers in Sync. This is episode 30. We're on season 3 of our horror / pop culture podcast. We officially have moved to video, as you can see. I'm so happy we've reached this point. I can't believe we've been doing it for this long.
No, just settled in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been for a while.
30 weeks, man.
30 weeks. I think I don't know if I shared this part, but we started it literally, I think, the week after I got laid off from my second job.
Yeah. I think we both said, fuck it, we're going to do this, right? Like, it's...
Yeah, I got extra time.
It's something to make, like, extra money on the side with. It's just something fun for us to do, because we talked like this a lot in our just casual conversations.
Yeah, it was never for the coin. Am I lying that would I like a paycheck? Yeah, but it was more so just, I think you said it. You were like,
I'm all about the money. I'm sorry.
I feel like our conversations would go, like, people would listen to some of the conversations that we have, and like a lot of the times you and I just kind of sit back and spitball things back and forth. So,
because I think one thing that I try to tell people, I told this to Mark from KRW, I've told this to a lot of my friends, is that if you're a content creator, just do what you want and talk about what you like. You don't have to be like some historian. You don't have to know when the very first song was ever created and who composed it for you to be a beat maker. You don't have to know the exact first issue of when Superman was created for you to talk about Superman from a movie. Like, I just feel like people don't
you don't have to be an expert.
You don't have to be an expert. And even if we're wrong, because I'm sure some of the stuff that we talk about, like Star Wars, a lot of actual Star Wars YouTubers can debunk our claims. But at the same time, like, go for it. Like, tell us we're wrong. That creates conversation. That creates engagement. I want to engage. And I think that's what people have to realize. And you and I, we talk a lot of shit on the phone. Like, she'll call me from work, on her way home from work, and we're just like, oh, yeah, you think Vader could, like, defeat Thanos with the gauntlet? Or, like, do you think, like, Vader's, like, planetary?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, like...
A lot of the times he'll start the conversation, mind you. He's just putting my name into the spotlight right now.
Nah, you started a few of them.
Couple of them, but only because you asked like one small question. I'm like, all right, then what about this?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so see you.
But on this episode, we're going to keep it simple, because make sure to go check us out on Slashers Instinct, the podcast, over on Spotify, Apple Music. Everything's audio there. You can watch it here on YouTube as well, or listen to it on YouTube Music. But again, everything pre this episode was all audio.
Yes.
So
nothing was really recorded.
And during those episodes, we did a lot of movie reviews. We're still going to continue the movie reviews. Don't get it twisted. We're probably actually going to review Maxine pretty soon.
Yes.
But as for this, I guess, video now, I can say that finally, or this episode, if you're listening to us, we're going to keep it simple and just kind of talk about scary stories from Reddit. I've been wanting to do this for a minute, because I follow a lot of horror talk channels and I see them do it all the time. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, instead of me looking at these at 3 a.m. and being spooked, let me go ahead and like read them myself with my girlfriend, and we can spook each other.
Great idea. No, I'm just kidding. I was considering it as well, more so like the haunted stories that you find online. But I burned incense in the house earlier today. I guess I need to burn them again tonight.
Now, I'm assuming most of these are fake. However, a good portion of them are probably real, or at least based off of real events they heard from somebody else, which I think makes it fun. I have the first one pulled up, and it is, what's the scariest encounter you had with the clown? From Mysterious Gur, or underscore Gur 2679. The title is The Night of the Clown.
The Night of the Clown.
Yeah.
Got it. For those of you who don't know, clowns are my kryptonite. That's the one thing that I'm petrified of. Quick little story. Sorry, I'm not sponsored by them, though I wish I was. Won't say their name. If you caught it, I'm sorry. There was a night where I was at Knott's Scary Farm. And those of you who don't live in California, it's kind of like a miniature Six Flags, just farm themed, I guess, and like Western themed. But every year around Halloween time, they kind of like go through a little makeover of turning it more spooky-esque. So I went one year and I was chaperoning a bunch of kids. However, this was also during the year of the big nationwide clown scare, where like a group of people dressed up as clowns, or who knows, like maybe it was just like people carrying on the prank throughout the nation.
Yeah, I remember that.
Going around and like spooking people, or like pulling up on knives and like trying to like steal things, or like shit along those lines, or just doing some like freaky ass shit. Similar to how some horror movies today do their marketing, where they pop up on people's Ring cameras and so on.
I like that too, but the clown stuff, that was very interesting.
You could tell that like the people who were doing it were either really taking the prank too far or had malicious intent, one or the other.
Yeah.
But Knott's definitely monopolized on that, and I don't think you really understood just how much I said the fog zone in Knott's is thick until you and I went. Because we were, like, especially any time when there was a heavy fog, I was waiting for a clown to pop up real close. But at this point, like, I'm at the park where there's no fog. And this one actor comes up and like realizes that I'm petrified. The rest of the actors kind of like walk past me because I don't react, but this guy picks up on it for whatever reason, starts to walk towards me, corners me, and what I do is I shrink into a ball and I start rocking back and forth. So then my little sister needs to come up and literally tell the actor, hey, she has a phobia of clowns, can you not?
Yeah.
Mind you, this didn't start my phobia. I used to make fun of kids who were afraid of clowns when I was younger, and then one day I woke up petrified, so I think karma just came and bit me in the ass.
You were pretty cool at the Knott's Berry Farm that we went to.
No, I wasn't.
Or Not Scary Farm. You weren't?
Nope.
I mean, you seem pretty cool to me.
I learned my lesson the last time.
Well, let's see how you react to the story.
Oh, fuck.
So, the story goes, it was a humid summer night, and my friend Josh and I had just smoked a joint behind the old community center. Hey!
Hi.
Light up!
A fellow stoner.
The weed hit us hard, and we were both in that giggly, slightly paranoid state. I can already see that.
I see.
When Josh suggested we take a walk through the deserted park nearby. The park was dimly lit by sporadic streetlights, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out towards us as we stumbled along the gravel path. We were joking about random things when suddenly I noticed movement. Ahead, a figure standing under a tree, dressed in a clown costume. Josh says, hey dude, do you see that? And of course his voice is shaky. They then squint, and the other guy says, oh shit, that's a freaking clown. My heart pounded in my chest as the clown turned towards us. Its painted grin unnervingly wide under the dim lights. It started to shuffle towards us, its oversized shoes scraping on the ground. Fear shot through me, and before I knew it, Josh and I were sprinting away as fast as our legs could carry us. Adrenaline surged through my veins, heightening every sense as we tore through the park. Behind us, I could hear the clown's laughter echoing eerily through the night, sending chills down my spine. Keep running, Josh yelled, his voice strained with panic. We didn't stop until we burst out the park and onto the empty street, grasping for breath. We leaned against the wall, our minds racing with fear and confusion. What the hell was that? I panted, trying to catch my breath. Josh shook his head, eyes were wide with disbelief. I don't know, man. That was insane. We stood there for what felt like an eternity, trying to process the surreal encounter. The high from the weed had intensified everything, making the appearance feel more surreal and terrifying. Eventually, we gathered our wobbly legs and stumbled back to Josh's place, constantly looking over our shoulders, half expecting to see the clown lurking in the shadows. We stayed up all night, wired and scared to sleep, replaying the events in our heads over and over. Till this day, Josh and I still talk about that night, the night we encountered the nightmare clown in the park. It's a memory that haunts us and a reminder of how quickly a fun night can turn into something else.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm sorry, I had to do that. I could not. Thanks for picking a clown one, by the way.
What would you do if you saw a clown under a tree?
Luckily, I have a knife on my keys.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting anything.
And you got me. Not that I can fight, more so that I would be used as a distraction.
More like I would probably do the same thing that Josh and his friend did, which is bolt into like the forest or into light
I don't
or
run
something.
fast though.
So I'm sorry. I will run for as long as I can with you until I'm
gonna have to hit him with that Roman Reigns spear. Put the ones up.
No. Okay. Anyway.
Acknowledge me.
No, he's gonna acknowledge you in different ways, man.
Who, the clown or Roman?
No. The clown, relax.
I mean, Roman. Let's talk about it, though. Your face.
I've given up.
You giving up?
Yeah, on that part.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Nothing. I don't remember anymore. Thanks for that. Okay. This one's by Creepy Cryptid, 1969. I worked as an LNA, a licensed nursing assistant for this nice resident facility in Concord, New Hampshire. The first year I worked there, I volunteered to work at a night shift after a long day shift because we were short-staffed. After all the residents went to bed, all the LNAs gathered in the floor lounge to get our books done and up to date. We were in there for quite a while when a light went off at the end of the hall. Knowing this resident was most likely needed the restroom, I rushed to her side. When I entered, I saw a black floating mist above her. She was hysterical, pointing to the mist and saying it was here to get her. I'm not a religious person, but I wanted to calm her, and I knew I could not acknowledge the mist above her. It was not unusual for these kind of strange things to happen in these types of facilities. I turned off the light and held her hand. We prayed. The mist vanished. I calmed her down and stayed with her until she went back to sleep. I then creeped out of her room and went back to the lounge. I reported what I saw to the others, but we cannot report it in our books. I found out that this mist has been seen in several rooms on the night shift for weeks. Another experience, I was working with a night shift LNA that volunteered to work day shift on my floor. I was friends with him since outside of work, as we were both writers. It was getting to the end of our shift when we had brought our residents to the bathroom and readied them for activities that took place in the basement where most of the administration was located. The other LNA and I brought our last residents to the activity and were walking back to the elevator. We were not walking the stairs, even though it was just up one flight. It was a long day. We saw someone walk out of the bathroom ahead of us and went around the corner to the elevator. I holler, "Hold that elevator." We were only seconds behind. We turned the corner, but no one was there. The other LNA and I just looked at each other. There was no place that this person could have gone. It was a dead end. I asked if I was going crazy. "Did you see that person?" The other LNA agreed. Where'd they go? It took forever for these elevators to go from floor to floor. And this time of day, there were tons of visitors and changing shifts. The elevators would take longer to get back down to the basement. Another one is that one of our residents turned 100 years old, and she had called me to read her a letter she received from the President of the United States, George W. Bush Jr. at the time. I had a few days off from work. When I returned, I had heard an awful news that she had left us in her sleep. The nurse on duty on that floor in our staff meeting read a note that her alarm, the light, kept going off. Just then, the panel showed a light going off in that room. I thought it was the roommate. I volunteered to see what she needed. I entered the room and the roommate was nowhere to be found. The light was coming from the empty bed of the resident that had passed. I shut it off, thinking it was a fluke. After that, it seemed to keep going off for minutes after you shut it off. I volunteered to go to the empty top floor where we kept extra supplies to get a new plug. I came back down and replaced the plug. Before I left the room, the light went off again. I removed the plug, but forgot to fail-safe that if you remove the plug for any length of time, the light would go off. Just then, I asked the nurse, did anybody leave the window open after she passed? The nurse looked at the note. Nope, no one did not. No one did that. It was not unusual that after passing in a resident facility, you open the window. It's the belief that it allows for the spirit of the deceased to escape. I reattached the plug and opened the window. At the end of my shift, I closed it. The light never went off for the rest of my shift after I opened the window. The next day, there were no reports of that light going off. I think the last one was probably the best one.
I claim no energy from this.
This is insane. Here's the one that I found. This one's twice as long.
What is she doing to me?
Hey, you wanted this.
Hey, man. Now, the lights going on and off, though, that's like... Every time I just think of lights going off, I immediately think of Lights Out. Which I know you can't watch because that looks like your sleep paralysis thing.
I mean, but I've watched it on several occasions thanks to you, I guess.
Because of me.
Yeah, exposure therapy. I rationalize it as exposure therapy because I'm pretty sure I talked about this once, but this creature is almost an exact replica of my sleep paralysis demon.
You have two, right?
Yeah, two.
Yeah.
One of them moves like that. The other one moves like the Nightcrawler, like the creature that Spirit of Halloween made. So...
That's why you got freaked out with the alien scene with the...
Yeah.
Forgot what the movie's called. But on Hulu, the... I don't remember the fucking name of that movie.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I reviewed it, I believe, on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go to our Slash and Scene TikTok. It's on there.
Yeah.
Good promo. Good plug. Thank you, babe. All right, let's get back into it. The Story of Haunted Items in My Secondhand Store by Creepy Cryptid 1969.
Oh, the same person.
Yeah. I owned a secondhand store in Pinnacook, New Hampshire. That's how you say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And used to bring my white lab mix.
I think, anyway.
To bring my white lab mix with me to work. She was sweet and loved everyone. I used to take in consignments here and there. An elderly gentleman came into my store and asked if I would be willing to have an antique spinning wheel that his deceased wife brought from an auction from a warehouse in town that was being renovated for years. I agreed. He returned a week later with the spinning wheel and set it up right in front of the store where you could see it from the large front windows. My store was in a mini mall, sandwiched between a Subway and a hairdresser. So there was all kinds of foot traffic in front of my store day and night until Subway closed. It was probably a few weeks later and I unlocked the store door and walked in to turn off the alarm. My dog walked in, stopped in front of the spinning wheel. She looked at it, cocking her head from side to side. I almost turned my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I did that. Then wagged her tail. I was gonna make a joke.
Can you tell I'm not impressed?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can too.
Yeah.
I noticed and watched her. Suddenly the spinning wheel started to move. I did not think that much of it at first because I figured that it was from the wind that the door was bringing in. I called for my dog so I could get her back in the room. It was an uneventful day until one of the employees came into my store in the late afternoon. I knew her from ordering my subs and we waved to each other when she went on duty. She asked me if I had the AC on last night. I did not. It was the start of autumn and there should not have been any circulation of air in the store. I asked why. She told me that a customer came in and asked if the store was haunted. I thought that was odd. She said the customer saw a lady sitting at the spinning wheel and the wheel was moving so fast as if it was spinning yarn. The Subway employee chuckled when she told me this and said she did not want to be late for her shift and left. I chuckled to myself and went about my business. To be honest, I wasn't thinking that it would not be surprising since my store was made up of pre-owned items. So that does make some sense. Time went by and I completely forgot about this conversation. Until next morning I went into the store as usual and my dog stopped at the spinning wheel again and the wheel started spinning. It was kind of comforting knowing that a woman was still attached to her beloved spinning wheel, but that comfort was short-lived. I had a busy week of going out and purchasing new items for my store and did not pay any attention to really anything but buying, selling, and rearranging the store for new items. I needed to finish up some paperwork and the displays, so I came back to work after my son was asleep to finish. This is when the odd things started happening. Both of the stores on each side of me were closed, and no one but my car was in the parking lot. I walked into the door located on the loading dock when I heard it. It sounded as if there was a room full of people talking and laughing. I crept into the showroom and the noise stopped. I thought maybe someone was at the hairdresser or the subway and disregarded it. I proceeded to the office, and the evening security lights were plenty to see by, so I never turned on the lights in my store. I sat down at the desk and started to pull out the files when it happened again. My office could see in the showroom, and there was no one in there. I got up and walked into the showroom, and it was happening all around me. It was loud but joyful. It was like different entities that were attached to the secondhand items were having a party. It was more funny than scary. Kind of sounds like Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
There was a knock at the loading dock door. The merriment ended. I went to answer the door, and it was a friend delivering a desk that I had purchased from a flea market a few days prior. I helped him bring it in and had the perfect spot for it. We moved a few things around, and I placed it with an old repurposed chair that I had picked up at a garage sale a few months back. I had been waiting for the best piece to pair it with. I walked my friend out, and we talked for a while at his truck about the flea market I wanted to visit and needed an extra pair of hands, and that I would pay him this time. I entered the store, and it was quiet. The chair was not in the same place as the desk. I thought I forgot to put it at the desk, shaking my head and mumbled that I just must be tired. I put the chair back and headed to the office. No sooner than I sat down, I heard something. I went into the showroom and the chair was knocked over and a bit away from the desk. Then I heard it. It started low, and I had to strain my ears to hear it, but it sounded like an argument. I could not make out the words, but it was a male's voice and another male's voice. Then it got louder and louder. I grabbed the chair to pick it up. When the roll top of the desk slammed down, I was in shock. I told myself to be calm. I grabbed the chair, put it back, and went into the back room. I found another chair, and this is weird, but I asked it nicely if it would mind being paired up with the desk, hoping it was fine. I proceeded back to the desk. I said to the desk if it would mind if I paired this chair with it. Nothing. So I slowly put the chair up to the desk and backed away. Again, nothing. I decided it was too late to work on the paperwork and left the store. After that, it changed how I bought stuff for the store. So it was the items that were arguing with each other. Not too scary.
More creepy.
But I've heard of that before. I've heard
like
our friends talk about like how they've had exes or they've had grandparents or relatives who could talk to ghosts and or could hear them talking.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting. Nothing new.
No.
But what do you think? Like, do you feel like that's something you could see yourself happening to?
Yes, and the only reason behind it is because my sister thrifted a ring, and this ring had like a gemstone on it.
Yeah.
And it was made out of silver, so silver usually is known to keep things rather pure or essentially like repel any bad energy, if you will.
Yeah.
Same with gold, but gold also is known to like attract sunlight. So if you're pagan, you could easily associate it with like a sun god or like a sun deity, if you will.
Yeah.
While silver tends to be also more cold, so in contrast, you could like equate it to the moon. But now I'm getting more into like a different kind of religion. But anyway,
No, you're good.
Most of the time, silver, like as far as like supernatural goes, is used for like against these folklore like supernatural entities like werewolves. You can even use it against vampires in certain like stories and lores. You can use it against fae. You can use it against like gnomes and trolls and things along those lines. It's used to kill dragons, even like special type of silver, but it's silver nonetheless. So
No Targaryen.
yeah. So the headcanon that myself, my sister, and my mom came to terms with is the fact that the stone that was within the ring was carrying on this entity, and it was that the second that my sister put it on her finger and left the store, bad things started happening to her. Her car like suddenly gave out, the battery wasn't turning on, she got into a couple of accidents. I think she even got like a ticket from a cop. She like ended up hurting herself or like bruising herself somewhere.
Yeah.
And she was constantly getting sick, she was fainting more, and this all happened after getting the ring. I jokingly asked the question one day, and I was like, hey, have you considered on the fact that this ring could be the root cause of it all? Like, especially since it's secondhand, you don't know what could be attached to it.
Yeah.
And normally whenever I bring these kind of conversations up with my family, they tend to brush it off or just think I'm being funny or don't think that I'm being serious. But I saw my sister's face turn white. And she was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, ever since I put it on, I haven't felt that great.
Oh.
And then my mom overheard it and she's like, wait, you never told me that.
Yeah.
You just said that like you got this from a store and it was for cheap. Where did you get it from exactly? And my sister was like, a secondhand store. Like, and my mom kind of looked confused and she was like, well, why would you not share that? And not to throw my mom under the bus, but she doesn't necessarily like understand the thrift culture, if you will. She is very much like a capitalist and consumerist, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So when the idea of thrifting was more popularized and just, I guess, more accepted, if you will, within society, myself and my sister, like I would wear secondhand clothes a lot. I wouldn't necessarily go buy new clothes all too much. When I did, I would work at a department store and make sure I get like a discount, or knew somebody who worked at a store and ask them to cash in on that discount. But I digress. I don't know. It was weird. My mom then contacted her doctor / spiritual guru lady who had told her about like how certain gemstones can carry certain types of like energies. And turns out the stone that she had was like one that was known to hold on to a deity if the deity became very attached to it.
Yeah.
So the fact that my sister didn't feel good and she started feeling heavy and lethargic, and add all the other things that started happening to her whenever she wore that ring, like it all added up. Mind you, she bought 2 rings. So this one ring she was wearing all the time. My mom did this like little ritual, sealed it up and like tossed it out, and my sister started feeling better. She then put on the second ring. This ring didn't have as many adverse effects. Like I think she just got like a small cold, and then she got into an argument with her significant other at the time, and then I think she went to get a haircut, and the haircut didn't turn out all too great.
Yeah.
But within like a couple of weeks, the ring snapped in half, so she was forced to throw it away. And I looked at her and I was like, was that another secondhand ring, or was it one of the more cheaper ones? And she's like, no, a secondhand. I'm like, okay, real stone or fake? She's like, well, real, because I wouldn't want to pay for like glass. And I was like, okay. So let this be known. Don't buy secondhand jewelry. If you want, go get it made by hand or have it repurposed, but don't wear it exactly like how it was. Because I have seen way too many movies and read too many books about how like a little trinket item or like a jewelry necklace or like a little pin or even like a bow clip or a tie clip can hold on to certain spirits because the person has so much of an attachment to it, and usually involves the stone, not the metal that it's made out of.
Yeah.
And unless you sit back and like repurpose it or melt it down or switch out the stones, then more likely than not, you're going to really inherit the attributes of the person who wore it before they became like a spirit, if you will.
Like, even if you don't want to go as far as saying spirit, just the energy it gives off.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it could just be the stone itself, you know, like if you're more into that side of things, there are certain stones and certain gemstones and certain like jewelry that certain astrological signs shouldn't wear, and other like zodiac signs and astrological signs should wear. Or like certain stones agree with certain birth charts. And it's not just within like the witchy side of like the world, it's also within more of Eastern culture too. So you could kind of put it on both sides, but I would not disagree with like secondhand objects being potentially like, I don't want to say possessed, but do have something attached to it. Yeah. Anytime I go thrifting, I always make sure to like cleanse my items and then like actually wash them and then wear them. But I haven't done that in a long time either. I think it's also because of the fact that I've just already been seeing enough spirits as is and just shadows, figures as is, that I don't want to increase the number any more than I already have.
Yeah. If you guys haven't figured out, we believe a lot in the supernatural, paranormal stuff, you know. We have a few episodes already, like part 1 and 2 of our paranormal experiences that you can go check out. Again,
which funny enough always ends up being the first episode of every season.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
You're welcome, guys.
Might be a thing.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe unintentionally, but now I guess it has to be.
Maybe, yeah. But anyways, this was just like a quick little episode, just kind of like start off with the video vibes. We're gonna be doing that from now on. So this is it, you know. So hopefully this is where it's at, man, and we have some fun. Because I want to, I guess, bridge both audiences. I don't want it to just be audio. Yeah. You know, I want it to be visual. Plus, I had a couple of friends ask that too, when it's going to be, you know, the video version.
A few people ask me as well, like, when is it going to happen? Yeah. Or they like the whole little bloopers thing that I threw up a couple weeks back. So you'll get another one out of this. Don't worry.
But thank you guys for joining as always. We appreciate it a lot. We'll probably go back to Reddit pretty soon because Reddit brings a lot of comfort. Like knowing that the Hat Man is not just one person's thing, like that's a real thing.
Or the Smiling Man.
The Smiling Man, yeah. We could actually probably read some stories of the Smiling Man. I can
tell my own story.
But I don't know if we want to bring all that. We might have to cleanse the room before and after if we do a whole on that. But
don't worry, I already did it earlier today. I'm going to do it after this. Incense.
There you go.
Sage. Sage has been, unless you know where you're getting it from, just do incense. Anyway.
There you go. So follow us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music. You can also find us on, I believe, YouTube Music as well. And then, of course, you can find the video version of this podcast here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And thank you so much for watching because 30 episodes in, man, we're here. So,
we are indeed.
Anyways, thank you.